Named after the town of Zegama, Spain, and the famous short-distance ultra trail race, these shoes are designed for the ultra trail scene. But how do they hold up to distances of marathon or under? It's time to run in the Nike ZoomX Zegama Trail. Hey guys, welcome back to the Time to Run channel where I do most of the research so you don't have to do it all on your own. My name is Joel and today I'm going to be reviewing the Nike ZoomX Zegama Trail, or Zegama for short. And to save you time and to get you all the answers you're looking for, I've outlined the chapters in this video to give you the dignity of choice and to make it easy for you to find your specific points of interest. Toward the end of the video, I'll give an assessment of how I felt like the shoe performed and if I plan on using it in the future. So be sure to stick around for all those highlights. After the disclosures, I'll be covering a few of the common items seen in a lot of these shoe reviews, such as the upper, colorways, overlays, midsole, outsole, etc. So feel free to skip around using the chapters if you like, but I do hope you stick around for all the points. I've put a lot of work in these videos, so it means a lot if I see people are watching them from start to finish. Thank you. So let's cover those disclosures. I bought these shoes a few months ago with my own money. These observations and opinions are my own, and no one gets to preview, edit, or provide feedback prior to me posting this video here. And no one's paying me to review these shoes or to make this video. I'm of course not sponsored by Nike, yet. Lastly, if you like any of the products seen in the video, I provided affiliate links in the description, and because it doesn't add any additional cost to you for using an affiliate link, please consider using one of my links if you're planning on making a purchase. Thank you. Now let's get to the review. As you well may know, I recently did a review of the Nike Trail 4s. In that review, I described the midsole being comfortable enough, but hoping for just a little bit more. The midsole in the Zegama, however, is a much more preferable ride than that of the Nike Trail 4s. That can be largely attributed to the midsole foam choice they used. This is Nike's most innovative foam yet, ZoomX. It's bouncier and more forgiving than what you get out of the shoe with a React foam. That doesn't even address some shoes with React foam perform better than others. And while the Trail 4 is technically a lighter shoe than the Zegama, the ZoomX is not only a lighter foam, but it also gives you a much higher energy return as well, which is very beneficial when you're out on these long runs. If you're not familiar with the advent of ZoomX, it was first used in the Nike Zoom Vaporfly Elite and 4% back in 2016. Fast forward to today, it's still Nike's flagship foam. But unlike those elite racing shoes, thankfully you're going to get a much more durable outsole, which I'll be addressing here shortly. But getting back to the foam for a minute, truth be told, ZoomX isn't the only foam equipped aboard the Zegama. There's technically another foam called the carrier foam, which is essentially a stabilizer for the ZoomX foam, ensuring it's usable and stable out on the trails. Because simply put, ZoomX is meant and designed for the road. And of course, this also doesn't even come pre-installed with a plate, and you can't buy an aftermarket one and have it installed, unfortunately, either.
Is your Nike shoe missing a base? ZoomX just not cut it for you. Is that carrier foam bringing it down, man? Well, then it sounds like you need to call Acme Aftermarket Plate Installer. To put a plate in that shoe. Like carbon plate, composite plate, foot plate, even a bio plate. Anywhere, any plate. Call Acme Plate Installers right now.
Acme Plate Installers. It's strictly a fictitious business and it does not exist.
Imagine that. So the Vaporfly feeling some of you lucky people have experienced won't be represented as much in these puppies as one does in those racers. But rest assured, the experience is nonetheless enjoyable for a Nike Trail shoe. If you've been following Nike Trail for any variation of time, you'll know Nike's advent of ZoomX in the trail shoe space is a big deal.
That's a big deal.
The midsole specs include a stack height in the heel, which is sitting at 37 millimeters, while the stack in the forefoot is 33 millimeters, giving us an overall 4 millimeter drop. This contender weighed in at 340 grams or 12 ounces for a single shoe, while the combination was 682 grams or 24 ounces for the pair in my US men's size 12. Nike's engineered mesh makes up the majority of the upper, while the overlays in the front that Nike is calling the protective skins cover and protect the toes from rocks and other debris. The mesh material up top is one of the least forgiving materials I've tested in a while. There's really no stretch to speak of regarding the toe box. However, This is by no means a deal breaker, because during my runs, I didn't even notice this until I actually got my hands on the upper, and I can safely say it didn't restrict or inhibit any natural movement. The design is more of an old school feel to the upper. Don't know about you, but this kind of resembles retro furniture and some of those radio cabinets from back in the day. Maybe it's just me. These are rubber sections in the front designed to protect your toes from getting stubbed. And there are these protective skins covering up here as well. They also help prevent mud from seeping in, at least this section of the shoe. This colorway gets the time to run thumbs up. These colors are cool, crisp, and muted with a pop of color here and there to keep things interesting. Nike calls this colorway Mineral Slate Black Green Glow Light Bone. Seriously, Nike? I don't understand your naming conventions at all. How do you come up with these long-winded names? Ridiculous. Regardless, I really think that they picked some great colors here that complemented each other well. They're really good. Similarly to the Trail 4, you won't be resigned to running in these in strictly fair weather days. This colorway will make it a great pick for the trails, and they'll look great regardless of how dirty they get. And the overlays from the Nike logo to their other little details all around the shoe make it a very attractive shoe indeed. The tongue is gusseted, keeping things comfortable, ensuring there's no folding or creasing inside. There's also a pillowy section up top here on the tongue so as to protect the anterior tibial tendons. It's still thin enough so it gets out of the way, ensuring you don't even think about it, and allowing you to cinch down the laces while getting the comfortability and lightness you're wanting. And from my testing, it didn't seem to absorb a noticeable amount of sweat, if that's something you're concerned about. As far as the lacing system, the laces are fairly flat and thin. It's definitely something I prefer. The eyelet and lacing system has durable materials, which got me a really great lockdown. Just to go further and clarify, there are no gaiter points provided on these shoes, which makes sense since the whole point of this collared area up here is to be a built-in gaiter. So that wouldn't really make much sense to have that as an option. I'll be talking about the collar here in a second. And lastly, for the laces, what was surprising as I experimented with the laces, I found using the default top eyelet here not super secure enough, while also using both of the eyelets up top here in combination seemed like it was too much. So I did the odd thing of using the furthest eyelet back, and that seemed to work best for me. Tell me if you've ever used this method in your own lacing strategy. If you're finding this video helpful, please consider subscribing. It's free for you and tells me how much you value the channel's content. Thank you so much. The collar, which has come on previous Nike Trail shoes, such as the Nike Wild Horse 6 and 7, is seen here as well as the Gore-Tex version of the Trail 4, but surprisingly not on any of the non-Gore-Tex version of the Pegasus Trail series, or even the Terra Kiger. I've never ran in any of those shoes, so I can't speak about their effectiveness on those models. As far as this one, I really found that I like the stretchy, comfortable, and attractive design overall. It has a very clean look to it. But in case you're wondering how effective the gaiter is, no, it's really not too effective at all. I wouldn't use it as such. In fact, in instances when a gaiter would be required or more necessary, I'd probably pick something else entirely with gaiter attachments, such as the Lone Peak 7. I know those aren't really on the same comparable sphere since one's a 0 drop and this is 4. One has probably a little bit more cushioning, this one, than the 25 millimeter stack height of that one. But still, I'd probably choose that one if the gaiter was required. And honestly, to me, this is more like a sock. Oh wait, I've seen this before, not only on those other trail models, but even on the Lunar Epic series. That would be much more effective than this option, which is kind of crazy because this is designed for specific trail running. But I've never been a fan of the sock-like design, but if they made it look a little bit better than the Lunar Epic, I'd be down for trying that out. In my testing, I found it's absolutely impossible to get a clean and snug fit for the gaiter. Snow is an entirely different beast to this collar when snow rises above the height of the collar itself, which can be most of the winter months here. Which brings me to my next point. I want to talk about my favorite pair of running socks I've been using from Showers Pass, the Crosspoint Lightweight Breathable Waterproof Sock. These waterproof socks feel like regular socks, but perform like low-profile rain boots, keeping my feet dry during wet athletic activities. The unique 3-layer construction is both waterproof and breathable for maximum comfort, and the inner Coolmax liner wicks away moisture, keeping my feet dry. The waterproof, breathable membrane keeps water from getting in, but lets moisture out, and it has a wear-resistant outer sock liner for durability. This is such a good choice, and I've loved using my Showers Pass waterproof socks for the last couple of years during my wet, rainy, and snowy runs, so check those out on showerspass.com. It's worth noting that the fabric from the ankle gaiter puckers out, leaving an opening during certain points of one stride. Sand was, in different runs, able to get in this. It does have some benefits, however, when larger items such as smaller rocks,
Very small rocks.
and the like are repelled just fine. So an overall eye-catching and comfortable design from the collar/gaiter, but ultimately not as effective as a true gaiter, especially in winter conditions. Inside the collar, there's a rim of padding that encircles the ankle and provides more comfort. Lastly, for the collar, there's a large pull tab here in the back of the shoe, which did prove helpful in pulling the shoe on. Now regarding the heel, I did notice that my feet sat significantly higher out of the shoe than what I personally consider to be normal. This felt more like an Ultra Olympus rather than the Lone Peaks themselves, where those actually sat lower in the shoe. It took a little getting used to, but ultimately I felt fine about it. I felt secure around the ankle, but it was a weird sensation nonetheless, as I am used to more material covering more of my ankles up here. And what would a trail shoe review be without covering how the outsole performed? It was grippy, and it gave me more confidence on single track, on river rocks, and in muddy conditions, and the like. The lug patterns seem to be more thought through and intentional than other current offerings. This pattern resembles other trail shoe lugs, which, when it comes to competing for space on the trail, certainly makes it a more notable contender. I found it helpful in snowy conditions when there was more than an inch on the ground. Anything less, and you can certainly expect it to be sliding around. In a pinch, these will work fine to get you to a nearby trail, but I don't personally recommend these exclusively for winter conditions.
And that's a good example of how iffy this outsole can be sometimes.
And unfortunately, if you're someone who wants a trail shoe to walk in, I'll just say this outsole isn't really made for you in mind. I really struggled to walk in these in snowy conditions. I believe the reason for this is that as a midfoot striker, there's a specific surface area I'm taking advantage of and only using it for a short period of time before springing back up. However, when I'm walking, I roll from back to front and almost turn outward with each walking stride, so there's less stability while I'm walking for some reason. That's the best reason I could come up with as to why it doesn't perform well in walking conditions. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you can only do so much about ice. It's difficult for me to recommend any shoe for icy conditions. Except there is a shoe I've been testing, and I'll hopefully be releasing that soon. And that one is specifically meant for icy conditions, so stay tuned for that. So that's the outsole. Great for runners, not so great for walkers. For this shoe, you'll want to stick with your typical standard shoe size. For a long time, I believe that my proper fit in Nikes was a size 12.5, and that very well may have been for the time. I haven't run in Nikes for the last few years, so it's possible things as far as fit have changed. But regardless, after trying these on and ultimately liking the 12s more than the 12.5s, that's what I stuck with. Initially, when I tried on the 12.5s, I had some trouble getting a secure lockdown. You really don't want to spend too much time lacing and relacing, as I experienced. So if you're experiencing and noticing something like that, then you'll definitely want to size down. So how did it feel running in these? I really enjoyed the Zegamas. It was a much better performer than the Nike Trail 4 in my opinion. The foam underfoot is definitely more comfortable for longer sessions and stable enough to pick up the paces. I feel that it performed best in mild climates, but also snow wasn't really too much of an issue when it took on winter runs. I'll be doing more testing this spring, so I'll be giving an update around the 150-mile mark, after I've taken it to the beach where the coastline mountains will provide a more rigorous, muddier, and even technical environment. So be sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss when I put that video out, and other videos similar to this. So where will it go in a rotation? Get this if you're wanting a more comfortable trainer, something you could use for daily miles, but also comfortable enough to take it on a trail, half, or even marathon. Nike dubs this as its answer to the ultra trail running space, giving the name of Zegama Spain's Trail Ultra. I'm nowhere near qualified at this juncture to be speaking or answering any questions about the shoe directed toward those who are running in ultras, so I will simply pass on any questions about ultras at this time for this shoe. I might even be using the shoe for a 25K trail race at the end of April, and if I do, my intent is to give an update post-race to let you know how well these shoes performed. So that concludes my review of the Nike ZoomX Zegama Trail. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know by hitting the like button if you did, and please consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching, and if anyone asks you what your favorite running YouTube channel is, just tell them it's time to run.